So this is the censored version, because if it gets restricted on YouTube, then basically nobody sees it, because YouTube doesn't show it to anybody. So if you want to watch the original, it's on my channel, it has the same name, and this is the uncensored one, where I replace the bad problematic words with really silly words. So depending on which one you enjoy most, you can choose. So let's continue with the video. Welcome to Banned, Censored and Lost, the series where I take a closer look at things that are banned, censored and lost. Episodes of TV series can be banned for various reasons. These bans can be temporary and sometimes they are permanent, at least regarding being shown on TV. The episode Bored She Hung Herself from the original Hawaii Five-0 is quite a special case regarding this. It was shown on January 7th, 1970 and was instantly after that banned permanently, without being ever shown again in syndication or release on home media or a streaming platform. It is very unlikely that this will ever change. Despite this, copies of this episode do exist, although with a horrid video quality. Keep in mind this was recorded a very long time ago, so if you know where to look online, you can find this episode, and this will likely be the only way that you will ever be able to watch it. This episode starts with psychiatrist Warren Parker having a talk with his daughter Wanda because he doesn't approve of her boyfriend Don, who he describes as a quote-unquote cesspool of bad habits. She disagrees and tells him off. He does have a point though, because when she goes back to her house, she finds Don levitating with a rope, practicing autoerotic asphyxiation. For those who do not know what that is, it's people using various methods to cause oxygen depletion. And yes, this is very dangerous, and many people have accidentally won the Darwin Award while attempting this. Why do people do this? Because apparently you can get sexual arousal and you enter a hallucinogenic state if you do this due to not having enough oxygen. Common sense should tell you that this isn't worth the risks of potentially dying, but apparently for some people this isn't the case and they still practice this. Anyway, the couple exchanges a few words before the guy goes back to lighting incense and starts chanting, which upsets Wanda, who goes on a big rant regarding this.
The whole mystic business, the chanting, the incense, the hanging yourself from the ceiling, the stopping of your heartbeat, it's sick, sick, sick. I can't take it anymore.
She then slaps him, he pushes her, and he leaves on his motorbike. The next day we see the neighbor's kid coming to their house, and he finds Wanda levitating with a rope. The police first suspect the word I cannot say on YouTube, but Wanda's dad is certain that Don did it.
He had so twisted her, so destroyed her. He? Who's he? Don Miles, the boy that Wanda was involved with. He couldn't go out and get a job, he couldn't wear shoes, he couldn't cut his hair, but he could teach himself. And he was teaching her. He was teaching her to hang himself. To himself. It's a serious accusation, Warren. That boy is responsible.
Yes, this episode is not kind to anything hippie related. And it gets way worse. Anyway, Don gets arrested and is the prime suspect. He also blames himself for her death. People who know both Wanda and Don also get questioned, and that can be summed up as complaining about hippies. Well, except for the boy who discovered the corpse.
I said that hippie spells trouble. That's exactly what I said. And then Wanda, oh, that lovely, sweet girl, turned up with him. I still can't imagine what she saw in him. They played that music so loud it would have taken an atomic bomb.
I think what my wife is trying to say is that we have a neighborhood gap, which is fine, except when you have an impressionable 13-year-old son.
I began to feel more like a jailkeeper than a mother. Why, every time I turned around, he was either over there or on the way. We were afraid they'd turn him into some kind of a dope fiend.
Wanda was getting bagged all the time. Don didn't dig it. It was driving him up the wall. All you ever do is get stoned, he'd yell at her. And she'd yell back, all you ever do is chant. See, Don's a health freak. He doesn't believe in dropping anything unless it's organic.
Anyway, the coroner determines that Wanda was strangled and attacked before she was put on the rope. He also finds an unidentified substance under her fingernails. Don gets further questions in the prison cell by McGarrett, and there he confesses that he did return home yesterday evening and found Wanda's hanged corpse. McGarrett in response visits the friend who Don was hanging out with, and he confirms that during the time that Wanda died, he was with him. Don gets released, but Wanda's father disagrees with this since he is convinced that Don did it. So he visits him and tries to get a confessions from him. He makes a recording, but it really isn't any kind of evidence at all, since Don didn't do it. And yes, McGarrett calls him out on this. McGarrett then pays a visit to Wanda's neighbor and asks him to hand over his cashmere shirt, since this was a substance found under her fingernails. The neighbor becomes instantly defensive, and his alibi has many holes in it, so McGarrett asks him further questions. He dismisses everything at first, claiming he returned back to work and that he was just a ladies' man, but then he claims that Wanda was making a play on him by making it clear that she is available. Then she turned him down and he killed her. So the neighbor did it. McGarrett then goes to Don's house where he finds Wanda's father, and together they go to Don, who attempted to levitate with a rope. McGarrett tells him that they got the murderer and that he's innocent. Don is overjoyed when he hears this and tells McGarrett that he now wants to live, and he runs outside onto the beach. And this is how the episode ends. I'll be honest, I wasn't really impressed by it, and many fans consider this to be one of the worst episodes of the series. So why was this episode banned, you may ask? Because apparently somebody tried to recreate the asphyxiation with hanging from this episode, and he accidentally won a Darwin Award. The family then apparently filed a lawsuit against CBS, and part of the settlement was that they wouldn't air this episode ever again. This story was confirmed twice, once by the wife of the creator of the series, and by the actor who played the boy who discovered Wanda's corpse in the episode. If these claims are indeed true or not is unknown. We don't know the circumstances in which this person took their life, or if the death even happened for that matter, nor do we know how this is even connected to this episode. A will wouldn't be written if this happened, since this wasn't a planned Darwin Award. So unless the person in question explicitly told people before he attempted this, it would be next to impossible to say with guarantee that this episode was the reason why the death happened. Why am I saying this? Because this banned episode isn't the only one with such circumstances. The Beavis and Butthead episode Comedians has a similar fate. Said episode took the blame for a child setting fire to his house in which his baby sister died. The episode was pulled out of rotation, but later when the boy grew up, he did an interview where he confirmed that his house didn't have cable TV and that he never watched Beavis and Butthead, and that his mother was a drug addict who lied, blaming the episode for what happened. This is what happens when people are angry. Scapegoats are created, which is very ironic considering how Dawn was treated by Wanda's father in this banned episode. This, by the way, doesn't mean that I think that Borchi hung herself was wrongfully blamed. As mentioned before, when it comes to the information, certain things simply don't make any sense, because if you found a hanged person, how could you tell for sure that this was a failed recreation attempt from something he has seen on TV, and not someone ending their life intentionally? This is a common problem with accidental autoerotic asphyxiation deaths. Give the wrong impression. People also question if a lawsuit actually happened or not. Even Snopes decided to investigate it, and okay, it's Snopes. Regarding politics, they are quite biased, with the most hilarious example being when they tried to blame Elon Musk for what happened to the Titan submarine. The resulting community note was quite an egg on the face moment. But since this investigation wasn't related to politics in any kind of way, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they did a really good job. In case of the supposed lawsuit, they found nothing. That doesn't mean this didn't happen, but it certainly raises more questions than it answers them. Furthermore, A lot of people have died so far attempting to imitate things they've seen on TV or in films. A few films that are such examples are Back to the Future, Too Fast, Too Furious, Jackass the movie, and Pirates of the Caribbean. The latter was almost identical to what supposedly happened with Bored She Hung Herself. A boy attempted to recreate the scene where Jack Sparrow survives by hanging by balancing on top of a sword. And this is why one should teach their kids that they should never, ever imitate things they see on TV or in films. I personally think this episode shouldn't have been banned, since attempting to do something as insane as what's shown in this episode is straight up asking for a Darwin Award. And thankfully most people use their common sense and don't blindly imitate dangerous things, since then you could ban a lot of things that you see on TV or in films. I think everyone could easily list a few similar examples from TV series and movies which could turn very badly or even lethal if somebody attempted to do that. As of the future of this episode, it was completely omitted on the DVD releases, and yes, the supposed complete edition lacked this episode as well. That is false advertising, even with a disclaimer. And the disclaimer says, due to viewer reaction following the original telecast of the episode Bored She Hung Herself, the episode has not been rebroadcast or released in any manner since its original airing and is not included in this collection. This is very annoying for fans who want to have a complete collection and own all episodes. Sadly, the only way I see this changing is when the series enters public domain, which will take a while. I really don't like how long it takes for things to enter public domain, but oh well, these are the laws. This episode was however shown recently at the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention, and apparently it is on YouTube, but unavailable to be viewed. Google kept recommending me this video from an official Paramount account, but it is blocked globally. So I would really like to know what is the deal with this video. Anyway, for the foreseeable future, those who want to see it can find it online if they know where to search. So what do you think? Was the ban deserved or not? And should it last forever? Tell me in the comment sections. And in case you like this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe. Everything helps with the YouTube algorithm.